G'day subscribers, welcome to Jive Talking Garage. Today we're going to talk about keeping your car safe with reflectors and the dual lamp package. Your Jules Knight. Okay, so what I'd like to talk about today, folks, is really prompted by three conversations. Firstly, one with my wife Tracy, another with a friend of mine that I'm doing a little job for called Peter, and also our mate who's familiar to all of you on the channel, Tristan. Now, my wife's got a little Vespa, a Vespa scooter. Now, I was looking at her forum a little while ago, and it was saying to have a look at the back of your car or your back of your motorbike, because police are pulling motorbikes over because they didn't have reflectors. And sure enough, I went down to the back of her little scooter, and it's in pristine condition. It hasn't even done 1,000 kilometers yet. But the thing was, it's got some form of reflective ability in the one tail lamp that's above the number plate. However, being the OCD husband that I am, I just went to the stock and I bought these for $2 or $4 or whatever, and I grabbed these two little reflectors and I have put them either side in the corners of her number plate frame. So it's got the dome lamp, the number plate frame, and then these two little reflectors there, so that if she wants to run her little scooter, and she's only going from where we live up to Cleveland and back, so that's no more than a 20-minute ride. However, she's not going to get pulled over by the police for not having the right gear. So that sort of prompted me, reflectors. And I know we've talked about reflectors before, but we've got a little bit more today. Now, when I got my FJ Ute, I got this type of reflector. It's a Wybrock one, and I've just bought one as an example at a swap meet, and I think it probably cost me $1, $2, who cares? But anyway, I've got it just as a sample, and it's different construction. It's molded from guide molds from America that were sent over at the time. And it's done in acrylic with the red reflective on it. But Holden sold these. Definitely sold these. I've got the things for it, the documentation. Okay, so you could get the Wybrock. Now, we know if we go to Salesman's Reference 141, it talks about the Universal Deluxe reflectors, which will look like that. Right, that's what they look like. So this one would be perfectly fine to mount on the stone guard that sits in front of the boot, or on the back of a trailer, or on a truck, the back of a truck. So they weren't just targeting Holden. They were trying to get a bigger and bigger market, because this was about sales. It wasn't about just selling to Holden. That's why they're universal. And they're universal because of the bracket, and also what we'll talk about is the straight edge of the actual body itself. So you can see that's the straight edge of the universal. So great for a sedan. Whereas when you started getting into the van, you can see, and you can see that I'll show it on this one. So you can see the sedan one. Here's the sedan, and here's the vans and Ute, as it turns out. So that's how they are constructed differently. This has more of a curve. So that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. But anyway, let's put that aside. Now, with the next one, 142, it does talk about reflectors. And you'll see they are for Holden and Vauxhall E. So you can see they're actually now just getting into the reflector part, which is the reflector, the body, and a gasket. So gasket material, pretty flimsy, nothing flash. They are a 50mm base, 50mm base. So you need a gasket, because when you look at the picture, the gasket goes over them and has a bit of a lip that they sit in. You can't buy that now. You're lucky if you do get them. You know, you get a box that's got them, well, you might be lucky enough to get the gasket part of it. However, excuse me, that not being the case, you're just going to have to make it. So that's what I've started doing. I've started making them. So, base, gasket, reflector. Now, this is what reflectors look like. Now we know, I'm just showing you Wybrock, and this one has the little General Motors Holden. You can just sort of see it in it. The GMH embossed, embossed in there. Excuse the frog in my throat. It's early in the morning. It's 5:30 on a Tuesday. Welcome to Brisbane. So that's what the standard reflector looks like. Now, unfortunately, things are getting rarer and rarer, and it's making restoration much more difficult and, not for nothing, more expensive. So if you, that was lucky, if you can't get that, you get that. So externally, no difference. But from a construction perspective, they are different. They both have this mold, and this disc is really good to show it, because this is constructed, the edge is painted and then folded over, encapsulating the disc, the reflective disc. And it's got a hard fitting in there for the bolt. So there's a little keyway in there. So it's a square hole, and a square headed bolt has been pushed into there. So they don't have to have anything that's going to, as far as the body of the reflector is concerned, push it up. So by this indentation being there, the indentation itself is going to fall into that groove, because there is a groove, a corresponding groove in there. So that'll fit in, say, there like so. And as you can see, that's not a bad fit. It's not going past the top of the base, so it's good for the body. So in this instance, I'm figuring out a way to mount this and this together. This is pretty difficult because I don't know if it's a nickel or brass or what it could be. So today we're off to the jeweler. So Tracy's Jewelers going to come in handy, and I say that with a bit of a laugh because people don't realise my wife loves going to the jeweler. I don't. However, she's a nice lady. But put that aside. So we're going to construct that into that, because I want to help Peter out. It's a job. Okay, so that's happening. And don't forget, this is about restoration. And restoration is getting whatever you can get and turning it into whatever you need it to be. And the trick of it is making it such that people do not know the difference. That's what a restorer should be about. It is about trying to be as authentic as possible. And that's what, generally speaking, my aim is. Okay, so we've done the reflectors. We've talked about the reflector body, the sedan body, and the commercial body. Now, I have seen some and it might have been some Holden documentation saying the states have legislated that reflectors must be on cars within 16 inches from the extremities, and therefore reflectors must be fitted. Because from what I've seen, the reflector package on the Special is without any argument. And you know, you can sort of see that arrangement with the reflector in it, right? Okay. But you can also see there's a reflector there. But let's talk about that in a moment. Now, back in the day, I suppose that there would have been people who liked NASCO stuff and NASCO knickknacks as much as I did. And so I have gone ahead and I've looked at this one, and I'll show you a trick in a minute, or something that I've noticed. Now, with the Special, when the Special came out, it had two things on it. Firstly, it had this housing for the reflector, so it wasn't just the standard, right, that you could put the reflector down there. It had the reflector body up there, and Australia, being impressed by America but not being as ostentatious, you know, with the fins that they had in the 1950s, you know, this is our little version. So that fin on the FJ is just decorative. It's a nod to obviously styling that was going on in America. There was two types. There was a very thin tin one that was chromed, and it had three little clips on it, and they went through the corresponding holes in the body, and they were just folded down underneath, folded across, and they kept it in place with a gasket. Whereas then they came out with another one that was more of a cast and chrome, and it sat on a gasket for the entirety of both the housing and also the fin, and it was quite good because it was more solid, and it just had a bolt and washer that bolted up from underneath through the corresponding holes. So here's my points. Firstly, you could get a dual lamp package. And in this instance, this is where it's not a Special. And you think, oh, it's an FJ standard. You know, it's got the standard tail reflectors there and so on. But it's not. That is an FX Holden boot. Look at the indentation. The FX is a different boot lid to the FJ. And that's the aha moment, because I just noticed it myself before. So this is where the vehicle's not a Special, and it talks about that as well. It talks about the fact that, you know, you've actually got to mount these and drill holes and stuff like that, and then it's a matter of joining this to the stop lamp and so on to be able to get the current. So that's what you could get. That's what you could get. Whereas with the Special, that was the Special. And it says so too, I suppose, yeah. So it's saying it's already got a reflector there. I've seen them with and without the reflector. I don't care. I'm not going to get into the arguments. You got the body there, and you've got the fin there. Now, the reason for this is to do with the tail lamp package. Now, you would have seen ones fully fitted if you looked at Basil's car. So when we did Basil's, and we went around the block in Basil's, and we saw Basil's two-tone green FJ Special with the loose louver or loose leaf louver Venetian blind, he had those on there. Now, this is what's prompted Tristan to reach out to me, because he has some orange lamps that he found in a reflector housing in Deniliquin. But anyway, this is what they look like. So you've got a lovely little lamp. It comes with a package actually, and it's in the book. So we've got a lamp package. I just love Holden's packaging. So you got your lamp kit. It's M number for its accessory. This would have come also with instructions. I don't have instructions. Welcome to 2021 as opposed to 1956. So you can get that. That's what you're looking for. You know, that's new old stock. So that will have a base that a bulb goes into. There's your bulb. And there's your lens. So what Tristan was saying to me was, he has that, like Basil, in orange. I don't know how, you know, it was just available on the day. You know, that's great. And this sort of stuff was through Guide. Now, don't forget, NASCO didn't make anything. It contracted stuff out. You know, that's why the first reflector I showed you was Wybrock. But that's the back as opposed to the reflector. So you would still have to have reflectors on your car, which is why they're showing you on those two salesman's reference sheets the reflector and the tail lamp package, because the tail lamp package is just on there to be a little bit flash. You know, you've got sort of two of them on there. Looks nice. That'd be, you know, someone like me who likes to add some extra stuff adds a bit of flash. And I've even done that with my VF Commodore. Gone and bought some genuine accessories for it. Now, if we go to the restorer's hints, now I'll get this up close for you. Now, I've already scanned this in for subscribers at NASCO Bay Jive Talking Garage on Facebook. So people are welcome to reach out to me to get a copy of it. But it shows you, and you know, comes with a little grommet. And remember, anything that has an electrical wire through it must have a grommet. Thanks, Dad. My FJ didn't, and I heard about it until I put all the grommets in. So what the secret is here is you have the lamp package. You have the housing. You're putting the lamp in. It's a bit like show and tell, really, isn't it? And so here, that what Stan's suggesting is taking the third fastener out, putting the grommet in, running the wire through, finding your appropriate wiring for your tail lights, and making the connection, and therefore the job's done. So that being the case, you'll have as this is an FX and FJ episode, well then you'll have the single tail lamp with reflectors and also the dual tail lamp package. So it's just a matter of making your car just a little bit safer, and keeping people away from you, particularly away from the back, and that's exactly where I like it. So we've been very lucky today. We've shown you the appropriate documentation from the salesman's reference. We've shown you and talked about the current standard for the police requirement for the safety reflectors. We've talked about the different types of reflector being Wybrock or General Motor or GMH. We've talked about the universal or the Holden requirement, and also the different Holden requirements as opposed to the sedan versus the commercial. The types of reflector and how we go about converting them to the other type with a bolt in it, and also the lamp package. So, you know, they're definitely in the book. And we've also gone through the restorer's hints. So don't forget, I've got a copy of that for anyone who needs it. So just reach out to me. Happy to share it. It's no cost to anyone. Happy to help. So that should put you on your merry way. Have a look to see what we're doing at Nasco Bay Jive Talking Garage on Facebook. We're going to be we're doing a couple of things. We're going to do a pop-up show 10th of April at Victoria Point in just near Brisbane in Queensland. So just for 3 hours. We've been proudly sponsored by the former Deputy Mayor, which is great. We've got some prizes: Best Aussie, Best American Car, Best Rice Burner, and Best of the rest. So I don't know if we're going to get 20. I don't know if we're going to get 100. I don't know if we're going to get 200. But anyway, we'll see. So I'll advise the venue. And also, we've got a video being processed at the moment about us bidding on the last Holden that went to auction last Saturday, where we were bidding, trying to get it for the National Museum of Australia through its benefactor Ian Metherall, and also want to publicly acknowledge him for the wonderful gifts that he's given to the people of Australia through the cars that he's already donated. But gee whiz, this is by far and away the longest episode that we've had of Jive Talking Garage. So thanks for your patience. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. But more importantly, enjoy your Holden.